I'm Ria Ruthsatz. I am an Emmy Award-winning commercial film director, and I put on the St. Louis 48-hour film project each year. I am also a small business owner, and while winning an Emmy sounds glamorous, being a small business owner is probably the thing that I'm actually most proud of. I don't know about you all, but surviving the past few years as a small business owner feels like a real accomplishment. In January, my production company will be celebrating 10 years in business. Yeah. I'm pretty proud of that. But in 2020, I did not bake any bread or take up any new fitness routines. It took all I had just to survive. My industry, like many others, was hit really hard by the pandemic. In a matter of weeks, filmmaking came to a screeching halt, and it took a long, that's how we felt. The color photos, by the way, that you're seeing are stills from commercials that my company has made. But it took a really long time to return to normal, as they say. And when it did, there was so much fear and so many new rules. Our jobs became really hard. And we lost a lot of the joy that we used to feel as artists. And that's part of the reason why I brought the 48-hour film project to St. Louis. I was really looking for a way to find that joy as a creative myself, but I also wanted to create situations where other people could find it as well. The black and white photos are from teams participating in the 48-hour film project. And for those unfamiliar, the 48-hour film project, the name says it all. You have 48 hours to create a short film from start to finish. Writing, shooting, editing. It's kind of crazy. Most creatives that I know do not love deadlines. 48 hours is a quick turnaround. I love deadlines though. Unpopular opinion, I know, but it forces you to take a hard look at the time that you've been allotted and makes you get creative in unexpected ways. And every year, I gotta say, I am blown away by what these filmmakers accomplish in that short amount of time. So why do they do it? Most of these folks are not making short films for fun the other 363 days of the year. But at the end of it, they had a fun weekend with friends, and they have a completed film, which shows in the theater. The deadline is their motivator. And let's be real, without a deadline, are we ever really done? How many of us as artists or in your job, whatever, would just keep putting something off or continue tinkering with it, right? But these folks, they get it done and they get the experience of having a film in a theater, which is something, as a professional filmmaker, is a pretty rare experience. And unlike other film competitions, another reason I love it, there are no barriers to entry here, right? The judges aren't looking at gear or special effects. They're looking at, did you tell a good story? Was it enjoyable to watch? So, you guys all might be wondering, I'm not here to convince you to make a film in 48 hours. I don't know if you're into filmmaking, I don't know if you're into design, most of us have never met. But I can tell you one thing that is true of everyone in this room. We're all gonna die. It's true, things just got real. That is the real and ultimate deadline, right? We're all on it. And I bet that at the end of it, we will all wish that we had a little bit more time, right? To keep tinkering. The truth is, just like those filmmakers, we all have a really good story to tell. But most of us are not even bothering to try to tell it. And we have a limited amount of time to tell our story, right? We are all racing against the clock. And my hope is that we all have more than 48 hours left on this planet. We'll see. But, you gotta make the most of the time that you have. When I interview folks for films, we don't have a lot of time. I have to get to the hard questions, the real story, pretty darn quick, which means that I sit down with folks and I ask them really intimate questions, and I'm an almost perfect stranger. And because of that, I get to know people really quickly, and I get to experience their lives and know things that I really shouldn't know about them. It's kind of wonderful. how I see the world. I've chatted with CEOs, philanthropists, ranch hands, public school teachers, and more. And the honest thing is you don't have to be a filmmaker to get these perspectives, right? You just have to ask the right questions. And I'm gonna go against Jean here. I see you. I'm gonna say, why? Is a really good question, right? We talk to people and say, oh, what do you do for a living? Okay, whatever. Why do you do that? What drives you, right? And the answers to those questions are more likely to be something that we can relate to, something that sparks a bigger conversation and brings us closer together. So imagine if we skip the chit chat, right? The other thing that I have learned in my experience is that everyone has a really good story, right? The person sitting next to you tonight has a really amazing story. You just have to get to the heart of it. You guys, I brought notes, but I can read them. The thing is, we don't have to use our imaginations too to know that this is beneficial. They've done studies about this. Psychologists found that in families that talk about hard stuff, the children are better adjusted, they have more friends, they have less stress and anxiety. We all want that, right? So I want you to think, you're sitting next to someone today, if this was your only opportunity and you were never going to see this person again, what would you ask them? Because their story might influence your future. And if we ask our elders better questions about their lives, that can impact how we see the world. But also, every time we tell our story, we are influencing how someone else